stream started, since I just kind of dropped this without teasing it. I want to give people a few minutes to kind of tumble in, and I need to go ahead and open up the stream so that I can monitor chat. Because of who I am as a person, I just stream straight from my phone instead of setting up OBS and doing it the proper way. Blah, blah, blah. Excellent. Alright, so I've got like 3:04 on the clock. I'm going to give it to, well, no, 3:05. I'm going to give it to about 3:08 before I start doing stuff. Feel free to observe in the meantime. Chat amongst yourselves. Hello there, Master CPU. How are you doing? My desk is a mess, isn't it? Apologies for all the background noise. The fan's running because I live in the desert and it's hot this time of year, and rather than it's loud, so rather than listen to it kick on and off every 20 minutes, I'll just leave it on for the duration of the video. Hello there, Diggly D. How are things in Germany? Alright, so I'm going to apologize in advance. I am extremely disorganized, and I have been more disorganized than usual over the past few months, so while I anticipate something like this should take like 30 minutes, I think this stream's gonna go a little bit longer than that. Probably gonna end up being an hour and a half, 2 hours or something. At least that's what I'm... That's what I'm planning for. If it's any longer than that, we'll have to take a break. Long time no stream, eh? Last time I had this thing on the stream, I broke a screen. That was fun. Hoping to not repeat that event. I have a screen already modified for this thing. Yeah, it's a clone, but I feel obligated to check it out anyway. So I guess let's go ahead and get started. I'll give you guys the background on how I came across this thing, and I don't know. I'll probably ramble for a bit, and hopefully it'll make sense. Anyway, there is a company in China that has decided they're going to start making metal Game Boy housings. I did a video a little while back on the Game Boy Macro housing that they made, which was basically a one-to-one clone of BoxyPixel's Game Boy Macro, except with a few different like aesthetic choices on the outside. This same company, it's really not clear to me. I genuinely have no idea if they are My Retro Game Case or the OEM that My Retro Game Case purchases from. Got one of those here. Got one of those GBA housings that I did a video on a little while back. Oh, there's my batteries. I've been looking for these. Anyway, My Retro Game Case made this housing, but it also happened to pop up on the same seller that sells this thing. So I don't know if they're the same company, different names, same OEM, different resellers, whatever. But either way, they made this Game Boy Advance housing, and I did genuinely like it, and it's not technically a clone of anything. I mean, I guess it's a clone of an OEM housing, but it is what it is. At some point, they decided to clone BoxyPixel, and they made that macro housing, and now they made this thing. I kind of knew this was coming, but they also decided to copy some of the things from the mod that I made, if you're familiar with the Slate. I think this one's probably a little bit more recognizable than this one at this point. But this is like 90% BoxyPixel clone, and then like there are a few little aesthetic choices that they decided to copy from me. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Either way, one of my friends ended up picking this shell up for me and sent it my way to do this with. I'm expecting this to go like 90% the same as the BoxyPixel shell did, and yeah, I don't know. It really genuinely looks like they just took this thing and cloned it. And I think if we look at the listing for the stupid thing, oh, they don't have it. It's in the other one. Okay, so these things are all over AliExpress. There are at least 2 different sellers of this thing. Let's check out this one. Okay, that's cool. Thanks, Apple. Love it. There's another listing that this probably isn't that listing. Oh, never mind. Yeah, it is. Does that look familiar at all? So yeah, they clearly bought one of these things from BoxyPixel and then just like copied everything that they could. It's kind of ridiculous. If you are genuinely interested in one of these housings, please check out BoxyPixels instead. I mean, you do what you want to do. If you want to buy one of these things, I mean, I'm certainly not going to stop you. They're like $123 for the full housing. You've got the front, the back, and the buttons. Whereas with BoxyPixel, you've got like $95 for the housing, but you still also have to buy the buttons for another $21. And if you want like all the accessory stuff, when I did mine, I just opted for the plugs, but you can also get a headphone jack and charge mod, and I'll ramble about that stuff later. I don't know. It is what it is. Oh, that's for later. But yeah, there are some changes. So I guess let's go ahead and get started and take a look at that. This is the housing itself. I have a backlight kit that I have modified specifically for this install. We'll talk about this a little bit later. But first thing I want to take a look at is the front plate. It's basically one-to-one with BoxyPixel's. The later models, I have one of the earlier models, of course. He did away with this aesthetic for the most part, and yeah, I don't know. So I suppose I should. Oh my goodness, magnets, am I right? Let's check out his website. So if we look at the BoxyPixel shell itself, the current version, of course that doesn't work on iPad, whatever. You can see aesthetic-wise, they're like almost one-to-one. The only difference really here is that the speaker grill, the holes are closer together. And the corners of the screen cutout itself are a little bit squared off. Compared to BoxyPixel, they're a little bit more rounded. And the speaker grill is kind of more spread out, I guess. But the housing itself, it genuinely looks like I couldn't blame you if you looked at this and confused it for a BoxyPixel. Like they're just that freaking close. On the inside, they made a lot of the same decisions that Nick made when he designed the shell, including, for some reason, omitting that third screw post. I don't really want to pull this thing apart with how much I struggled the first time. I still have a little bit of PTSD from the screens, but it is what it is. On the rear screen housing, they did make a few different decisions. So on my original model BoxyPixel shell, it's just flat. Like there's nothing there. There's no cutout for the ports. There's no pill cutout. I think BoxyPixel started putting a pill cutout in his, though I don't actually see one in the listings, so maybe not. Of course, I can't zoom in because iPad things. Yeah, I don't see one. I need more desk space, man. Oh, I just chucked an SP. Don't worry, it's fine. Probably. Anyway, yeah, there's that pill cutout. Unfortunately, they omitted the little relief holes in the back. So the purpose of the relief holes, of course I don't have something handy to show off the relief holes, but the whole entire idea behind the relief holes is that if you have a pill logo in there, you can stick something in the hole behind it and push the logo out, emblem. Not that big of a deal. It just means that if you decide to drop a pill in there, you're kind of committed to it because it's going to be a pain in the ass to get it out unless you can try and jam something in there, but good luck not scratching the finish. I see they also copied this little like square relief here, not from BoxyPixel. This one's actually a slate thing that they appeared to have been inspired by, except they did it kind of weird. So the entire purpose of this cutout on the slate is to give you a little bit of a relief to plug cables in a little bit more easily. It's not necessary, but personally I think it looks good. It helps break up the back plate a little bit more, but also it just provides straight clearance for some of the cables. They decided to implement that with their shell, except that it doesn't actually go all the way to the back where the cables plug in, so it's not exactly like it's purely aesthetic here. There's no functional purpose for it, but it doesn't necessarily need it because with BoxyPixel's design, the screen is shifted further away from the SP motherboard, which means you don't need to you can shift it further away from the back as well. So, I don't know. It's not necessary here, but like it's weird that they copied that without. Yeah. Anyway, Now, the back. This is my favorite thing about this shell so far. Like one of the things I criticized with BoxyPixels, the anodization doesn't actually match. So if you're looking at this going, hey, that battery cover doesn't look like it's the same color. Well, yeah, it's not. It's just genuinely a different color, and I don't know why they did that. They also, instead of using a screw here, which I think was a silly choice, given that the original SP even used a screw, they opted to use magnets, except that the one that they shipped me, the magnet, I guess they didn't glue it in very well because it's still right there. So like I've got to re-glue that at some point, but I'm kind of afraid to do that because knowing me, I'll glue the battery cover on, so I'll save that to last. But otherwise, this looks like largely just a stock SP rear housing. And for those that are wondering, because this did come up, yes, I know the Slate doesn't have a metal rear housing. That was an intentional choice. I decided I liked the plastic better, just between the feel and the fit, and the fact that I literally cannot make a rear housing for cheaper than you can buy an entire SP housing and just drop that on there. It's impossible. The economies of scale do not work out in my favor. But if you decide you need a metal back housing, you want to put this one on the Slate, it does not fit. I don't know specifically. Actually, no, that's not true. I know exactly what the problem is. So on this housing, you see it's just a flat surface here, whereas on a stock SP, does this work? Yeah. On a stock SP, there's a little bit of a lip in here against the edge that the Slate actually has that lip there. So if you try slipping this onto a Slate, it just hits that lip and doesn't go any further. You'd have to cut this entire lip off of the Slate, and then this would fit on. But oops, I need that. Not this. We'll save that. Okay. So I guess let's go ahead and get started with the install. First impressions, like, I'm not really satisfied with the fit and finish. Like I said, the anodization color itself is just not even, it's not the same. Like, I know that's a hard thing to get right when you have so many different parts, but it's frustrating, you know? Also, without that lip there are just straight panel gaps in the thing. We'll see how well that plays out when we've got this thing assembled. But anyway, let us move on to some of the accessories. This is what it came with. I don't think they all come with this sort of stuff. This thing was supposed to be a sample. It comes with extra magnets. I have no idea what these are supposed to be for because they don't actually fit the battery cover. And of course they didn't include instructions. Comes with quite a few options for this sticker cutout. You can use a stock SP sticker if you want, but keep in mind that it will be upside down, technically, just because that's how the folding SP was originally designed. So first, I want to call attention to the pill logo that they include. I actually genuinely really like this thing. There's a plastic, like a protective peel on it that I'll do later. But it looks like some like copper-ish pop metal that they have the logo engraved, and then there's like black paint in the reliefs. It genuinely looks really good. Like this is my favorite part of this entire thing, this pill logo. Not even paying any attention to the font itself. I just like the construction of this. I think it's pretty neat. My second favorite, oh, it's in here. I separated things out. They also include this metal. This appears to be constructed the exact same way the pill is constructed. It's like copper, brass-ish alloy with the text engraved and then paint in the text itself. It looks genuinely really good, except that it's upside down. Like, that's such an easy thing to get right, and they messed that up. They also included these like carbon fiber cutouts. I have no idea what these are supposed to be for. There's no text on them, and they don't quite fit right in the rear housing. There's two cutouts here. So the outer cutout is the actual shape of the cutout itself, and then there's an inner cutout that has the deeper relief. So the outer cutout is what matches these carbon fiber things. So they don't actually sit all the way inside the cutout. It probably doesn't matter if you use some double-sided tape on there, though, which is of course not included. But whatever. Also, we have yet another carbon fiber, yet another carbon fiber, another sticker that is also upside down, another pill logo, and this one is actually one of my favorites here because not only is it right side up, it just genuinely looks cool, except that they kind of copied me here too. I don't know if you've noticed my channel logo, but it's that, but with a slate. And here it is on a sticker for something that I didn't design. And by sticker, I mean this is literally a PCB. You can even see the probably JLC PCB order number on the back of there, which is kind of funny. It's just a 0.8 millimeter PCB. This is actual copper that's coated in solder here. I think it's neat, and on account of the fact that they literally copied me, I think I'll appropriate that from them at some point. And then last, we have this little keychain here that is their Game Boy Advance SP mod thing. This is also a PCB, so this is just hot air solder level HASL finish. I don't know. It looks pretty decent, but again, you know, this is something that I did. I already knew this looked decent. I forgot to grab a link to one of these things, but if you want to get one of these for yourself, except the slate one, not this clone, I believe HDR has them on his Osh Park shared projects thing. It might be on PCBWay. I don't know. I'll find a link after the stream unless someone ends up dropping one in chat. But yeah, I think the ones I made are pretty neat, and of course this looks awful similar to the ones I made. Anyway, moving on. I'm gonna set all of this aside because none of this is relevant to the actual build. And then last bag here. Is the buttons that I haven't looked very closely at, but quite frankly, they're probably also BoxyPixel clones. I would not be surprised to find out that BoxyPixel buttons fit, like, drop in this thing. And oh, look at that, a TP4056 USB-C module, so that you can add a USB Type-C port to the housing. Credit where credit is due. That fits really well. I suppose it's worth showing. On here, they did a separate machining operation, so they approached it from this surface and then milled out that oval cutout. Whereas on the BoxyPixel version, it's not exactly an oval cutout because the other half of that cutout is provided by the rear housing, so they just approached it from this side and then machined it out. I don't know if the newer ones are any different, but I'm just saying, just pointing things out. All right, buttons. I have no idea where these are from. I don't know if these are original. I don't know if they took BoxyPixel's shoulder buttons and then just scaled the actual button part of itself to SP size, since the rear housing here is not it's not as extended as the BoxyPixel one. You can see how thin this wall is here compared to the BoxyPixel one, which is quite a bit thicker. But the rest of the buttons, I'm fairly certain they just copied what BoxyPixel did, but made a few changes so it wouldn't look like they copied it directly, I guess. I don't know. The machining on these buttons sucks. There's just pits and voids in the material. It's terrible. The face buttons have little nipples on them right in the middle, probably because these were made on a lathe. Oh no, I dropped it. Of course, you do need these buttons for this mod because these are taller than normal SP buttons. I'm surprised. Oh no, they did. The brightness button is just another start select button. I guess that was a good choice on their part, makes making parts a little bit cheaper. Also includes these 2 strips of foam. Like I said, this didn't really include any instructions, or if it did, my friend did not forward them to me, but it doesn't really matter that much because, like I've said several times at this point, this is basically a BoxyPixel clone, so I could just use BoxyPixel's instructions if I need them. I'm gonna guess these are for the back of the screen, depending on which screen mod you use. It also includes a little headphone jack that doesn't quite fit into the cutout that they've designed. We'll probably have to glue that thing in because that's how all good mods are designed. Includes an Allen wrench because all of the included screws are hex. But these also just look like M2. Let's find out. So the slate uses M2 threaded screws. Pretty sure BoxyPixel's mod did too. And these are not threading in, so these are not M2. Oh, but those are. The motherboard screws are threaded differently. But the 4 corners and... Nope. Yeah, those aren't M2. Never mind. That's a bummer. That's a weird choice. I don't know why they did that. It's not like M2 screws are hard to come by. So you've got 2 different screw types. Now that I'm actually looking at the screws, I can see the difference. These hex head ones are quite a bit wider. And then we've got these probably Phillips ones that I'm guessing they're M1.6. I don't intend on finding out, but I don't know. Let's move on to the actual install. How about? So I'm gonna use this SP as a donor. I've got several different plans for this. Hopefully it actually still works. I haven't put a battery in this thing in years, but it worked when I put it away, mostly. So this is an AGS 101, not a 001, but the screen is damaged. You can't tell on this boot screen, but there is actually a row of dead pixels, and unfortunately it is not good enough for Game Boy Color mods. When I came across the screen, I was considering putting it in like one of those Ben Game Boy Color backlight kit things, but you can sort of see it. It doesn't actually clear the viewing window. What kind of garbage do I have on this thing? I don't know. I'll look into fixing the screen at some point, but I figure it'll be a good test to see how well it fits there. Now you can see that blue line. But other than that, the console should work perfectly fine, aside from the fact that when I assembled this thing, the hinges I had on hand kind of sucked, and that hasn't ever been fixed. And it doesn't even open to the correct angle, but whatever. Anyway, we're going to use this one. So R3D, I don't know who specifically makes this kit. It's sold by like 3 different vendors. It popped up all at the same time. I don't know the name of who makes this thing. I'm fairly confident that it's the same OEM that makes the My Retro Game Case hardware. So like that Game Boy Advance I showed off earlier in the stream. I don't know. Either way, this is not the BoxyPixel housing, the one that I'm working on. This is BoxyPixel's mod. This is not. This is basically a clone of the BoxyPixel housing. So even though I don't really intend on using this screen, I want to take this thing apart to show fitment, or to explore the fitment, I guess. Oh, of course I did that. Why wouldn't I have done that? There we go. I did something weird with these. I don't know. They're not sticking down like they usually do. I ripped that one a little bit. Oh well. Alright, so in this console, I'm fairly certain this is not an OEM AGS 101 screen. I think it's an aftermarket one, so it probably doesn't have the foam on the back. But of course it has an OEM lens stuck to it because of who I am as a person. Oh, it has some foam, just not the foam. Why wouldn't it? So that fits in there just like that. And then the rear cover doesn't fit because I have foam on there and the foam needs to come off. But I'm not going to bother peeling that foam off because this screen is damaged anyway, and I'm just going to put this thing back together as soon as I swap out these hinges anyway. But I wanted to show off disassembly of a console if you wanted to try and use my stream as a guide. But I also wanted to show off that it does technically fit the AGS 101 screens, which is not something you could say about a Sleek. But we're not going to use that. I am kind of tempted to try cramming this thing in there because I think I could make this fit. I suppose I should use a lens, but I don't necessarily have to. But this is one of those AGS 101 IPS mods, and I kind of want to try jamming it in here because I don't know what else I can use this on. The original ribbon cable was damaged, and I made something that technically works. So if I plug this in her. Ta-da! But of course, the obvious problem is the ribbon cable here. Which I could totally flex that. Yeah, let's do that. Screw it. That's way more fun. That'll totally work. Let me go grab a lens for... Ooh! Hopefully I didn't just break it. Let me go grab a lens for this thing. Give me 2 minutes. We'll talk about other screens too, but I'm going to install that one. Alright, never mind. Good news, bad news. I don't have lenses. But I do have a screen with a lens on it. Hey. And it's got that nice anti-reflective. This is not BoxyPixel. Not BoxyPixel. This is BoxyPixel. This is a clone of BoxyPixel. A Plus Mods asked me about Ben flashcard. Well, I thought I had it on my desk. I guess not. Never mind. I do have one. It's around. Somewhere. Well, shoot. Okay, never mind. Alright, let's get some double-sided tape. So this is just one of those screen centers from probably a Game Boy Color lens or something. I'm gonna half-ass this, but that's not straight at all. Where did that cut off? There we go. Not perfect, but doesn't have to be. Realistically, I'm never going to play this thing anyway. Hey, Kaz Gareth, how you doing, bud? I guess you missed all of those times where people asked questions and then I answered them. That's cool. I guess you also missed when you answered someone else's question and then I corrected you. Because this isn't BoxyPixel's kit like you insisted it is. Look, if my stream's not for you, that's fine. But you don't need to make shit up about me. You want to know who made this? So do I. I don't know who makes this. I've kind of, like, I've gone over that a few times already. It's the OEM for whoever makes the My Retro Game Case housings. Who makes this? You tell me. There's literally no branding on this aside from stolen Nintendo branding. can also feel free to rewind back, watch earlier in the stream when I showed the actual listing on AliExpress. But you know what? You do you, bud. Keep on keeping on. Oh my god, that is awful. What am I doing? Cut a new piece. There we go. What do you know? Yeah, I don't know what happened with my retro game case. Like, they were doing really, really good for a time, and then apparently they just stopped shipping orders and like disappeared off the face of the map, face of the earth. I don't know. They were doing some cool stuff, and then they just stopped doing cool stuff. They just stopped existing. I'm just doing this to make sure I get the alignment right. There. Good enough, right? Oh. There. This is like the only console that this screen is going to fit in unless I make a custom ribbon for it, and I really don't want to do that, so... Alright, let's take a look at some of the other kits here. So this is probably the kit that most people are going to end up getting their hands on for something like this, and, well, it doesn't fit. I had to modify this thing to fit. So this is that new-ish, as of the time of streaming, one chip 720 by 480, like 3 times scale screen. I literally had to shave the corners of the glass to get this thing to fit. The problem is the cutout is sized pretty much exactly to what the SP lens should be, for both the housing and for the glass. And, well, if you're unaware, it's impossible to cut a perfect 90-degree angle with this spinning tool. Like that you can't do that on a mill. You can get really close with smaller and smaller tools, but you just can't. So square-cornered glass does not work in housing. I had to trim that down. Additionally, with this rear plate on, it is right up against the back of that screen. So you probably have to remove the shielding just to give you a little bit of extra space to bend the ribbon cable to where it needs to go. The AGS 101 screen, that should fit, but you got to take the foam off the back. Let's see, I've got several other kits here. That's a bad example. So is that. Why doesn't have a lens on it? So for the funny playing kits, of course, this screen is not going to work because this screen just has the connector ripped off. But that'll just drop right in. There's zero issue with that. I think this is basically what these housings are designed for. Actually, no, it's got the same issue as the other screen where the corners are too sharp. So if you try and push that in, you see there's that gap between the screen and the front panel in that corner, but in the rest of the corners, it's fine. So you literally have to shave this thing down. I don't know what screens this is designed for, but yeah. Try jamming that in. Nope. It's not going to work. I'm going to break something, and I'm going to hurt myself if I keep that up. The other option are the older... this clearly spent some time on my desk, unsupervised. The older one-chip kits, which have the exact same problem as the mod that I tried, or the screen housing... Screen assembly that I tried modifying. Holy cow. I swear I know English. Sometimes. But you can see it doesn't actually fit. So, I don't know what they tested this with. But they say it's compatible with IPS kits, and I haven't found a single IPS kit that it actually works with without modification. Maybe the Cloud Game Store ones will fit, but I don't have one with a lens on it. That's the GBA version. I've got another funny playing kit, but with the wrong screen ribbon. I have a box full of backlight kits, so I suppose I can just go through that. Also got this brand new funny playing one, but that's gonna have the exact same problem as this one, where it doesn't actually fit. So I guess it comes down to don't get an IPS kit unless you're comfortable literally cutting glass. This is what this thing looked like when I started, and now it has these rounded corners. I did literally file it down. Well, not using a file, but I used a carbide glass cutting bit, which is really just a tap that I broke. And then I wet sanded it down until it doesn't draw blood. But if you want to use an OEM screen lens, I suppose that does fit. So I guess it's kind of sort of convenient that I didn't have any. So that drops in just like that. Oh baby. Do I have to remove the shielding? No, I don't. There's clearance. Hey, so Kaz, Gareth, forgive me if I'm pronouncing your handle wrong, but I showed the pricing on this already. Like, this is a stream. You can rewind. It's right here. I didn't hide any of that. I just don't want to provide a link to people who are cloning stuff. Here's the price. As of when I'm filming this or streaming this, I'm not trying to hide it. I just don't want to provide a link to cloners. If you're genuinely interested in one of these things, you can figure out how to find it, or you can buy one of BoxyPixel's. All right, so I guess we'll figure out the ribbon cable nonsense later. Next, I gotta do this and this. I bet we can just do that with double-sided tape. Let's try that. Where did I put my double-sided tape? Yeah, it's not sized very close enough. HDR, people keep saying stuff like this is expensive because they don't actually know how much this sort of stuff costs. They don't understand that it takes a $15,000 machine and hours of machine time to do this. Just because the actual raw materials, the billet of aluminum that it's cut out of, isn't that expensive does not mean that it does not take hours and hours of work to make. I just did that upside down. I'm a real champion, huh? There we go. Oh no, I folded it. There we go. Now I can drop that in and actually solder to it. Yeah, Lily has an excellent point. Clones aside, it's not actually compatible with the things that it says it is. Like, I have a kit that I just literally bodged together because I have nothing that it'll actually fit in. And I had to use an OEM lens just to do this. Alright. So I guess it's probably a bad idea to stick this in advance, but when have I ever shown good ideas? Oh my goodness. It's too long. I guess the fitment's pretty good if the screen's not actually stuck down, but... Alright. Alright, I think I'm missing some check. Give me just a second to review. Have you ever tried using flush cutters on a glass lens? It doesn't really work that well. So if you try and just snip off that edge, like, aside from the fact that there's glass dust now all over the place, you can see... Oh, no, I tipped that back. You can see the glass is just kind of chipped. That actually worked out shockingly well. That usually doesn't go that well. It usually splinters the glass. But you can see there's literal chunks missing there. So I don't know. It's not a good idea. I'm gonna save this because it's still good for fit checks, but... Whew. Alright, well, sure. Let's move on. I think I've addressed everything that needs addressing. Don't do that. That was dumb. But I did it anyway. Because of who I am as a person. Let's do the soldering. Where is my board? There it goes. I'm genuinely surprised there's no, like, water damage or something. Ah, there it is. I thought there was something wrong with this thing. That ferrite bead is totally busted. But it still works, so I glued it. No, so I actually discussed this earlier. I genuinely used a broken off tap to trim that one lens I did. I scratched it with the end of this thing, snapped it off, and then wet sanded it until it fit. Anyway. I'm going to install 2 screws here just so that the screen stays in place. Is that even the right screw? No, it's not. That makes sense. Okay. So I need some wire here. Is this stuff long enough? Yeah, it should be. So we're using this TP4056 board the exact same way that BoxyPixel does. We're literally just using it for the USB Type-C connector on it and nothing else. Oh, and of course that side's not labeled. I messed that up, didn't I? There we go. You know, HDR, you have an excellent point. It is a shame that USB-C breakout boards don't exist, especially since USB-C breakout boards could add features like, I don't know, USB Type-C host compatibility, which this doesn't have. That's actually kind of unfortunate because I need to unplug the phone I'm streaming from. We'll just plug it in with this and hope for the best. Alright, so the reason I'm doing this is because I don't trust my memory, and I'm not going to Google it. I just want to check what the polarity of this is. And I'm glad I did not trust my memory because I would have been wrong. Okay. How should we wire this up? Let's find out. So I have this image linked in the description that has the wiring for this port and what each of the pins does. You can wire up directly to that if you want, but there's zero reason you need to use the ground on the port itself. Also, there's zero reason we have to use the pins on the back when I can just use the EM on the front. So let's do that. I'm going to use one of the legs on the port as a ground. And then I'm fairly certain, yeah, we'll use one of the legs on this EM component. Because this is easier than soldering to the pins, I think. Could also just use that giant test pad. This way, we've got charge. We'll have to route that. Luckily, there's plenty of room to route that. Just like that. And rather than use the pins on the port for the headphone, I think I'll use these test pads right here because that's going to make my life quite a bit easier. Again, because soldering to those bare pins sucks. I'm just pulling up my cheat sheet. Give me a sec. Cool. Cool. Can I make that bigger? Yeah, I can. Alright. So where is my wire? Need 1, 2, 3, 4. And so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins on the port, but 4 of them are already tinned. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume those are the 4 I need to use. I'm going to tin them again, though. I don't know what solder they used. That before I launch it off my desk. That should be the left out pin, in case you're trying to follow along, but probably don't, because stream is going to bit crush the heck out of this video, and I'm not even zoomed in. That next pin ought to be the speaker mute pin, which this of course uses the headphone killer wiring. I'll discuss that in a second. The next pin is the right out pin. And then the last pin is audio ground, which is not the same as system ground, but because this uses the headphone killer wiring, that's exactly what we're going to wire it to. All right. Give me like 2 minutes. I need a refill, and I gotta go use this. All right. Rex, I have not tasted the shell, and I don't intend to. I have no idea where this has been. That being said, the rest of my shells probably taste like cat snot, so it's probably an improvement. So this is left out. And we're going to use the test pads right on the front of the console because that's, again, way easier than soldering directly to the pins. Maybe. There we go. We need left out, right out. What else do we need? There we go. Man, I've totally forgotten what it's supposed to be labeled. Unless it's up here. Speaker is the second to last right here. Of course, that's a pain in the butt to get to, but we'll make it work. I thought it was that. It's clearly not that. Maybe I will just, oh, there it is. It's all the way up there. Cool. So we want P35 because that is the easy to remember plain text label. And then we'll just need a ground. Use whatever I want, I suppose. There's got to be a convenient one in the area. Why wouldn't there be? I don't see one. See, we should use the A ground right here. There is a difference between ground and A ground. The difference is the bias voltage. So I've called this the headphone killer mod for a reason, and I can't quite explain the details behind it because I don't quite understand it enough, well enough to really regurgitate that. But Gekio, a well-known, very well-established modder in the scene, has done some tests. He even has reverse engineered schematics of this whole board. He's explained exactly why this is a problem, how to fix it, and so on. And if you check out the YouTube video linked in the description where I did that headphone mod in the top half of that blue SP, in one of the pinned comments, in the pinned comment, there's only one pinned comment, there is a write-up from Gekio on what the problem is and how to fix it. Basically, it comes down to we're overvolting the headphones if we use the system ground instead of the audio ground, and the way to fix it is to add some capacitors in line. Thank you, Mike. I don't have any capacitors to add in line because I didn't think about grabbing them in advance. There's probably a way we can just wire this a little bit differently that would work out a little bit better, but this is the way they say to do it, so this is how we're doing it. So this one is left out. Means the button is right there. And where is right out? right it is this one. Thank you, Mike. I genuinely really appreciate that. I've been meaning to do a follow-up on the issue for quite a while now, but there are at least two different things stopping me. The first is that I just genuinely don't care about headphones on the SP, or any Game Boy for that matter. The second is that you can get these USB-C mods now that you just plug a dongle into and it works anyway. And on that note, you can just get dongles that's not the dongle I thought it was, never mind. But you can also just get dongles that you plug right in. Headphones, it's 2023. Headphones are not universal anymore. Like, they used to be. When these were made, headphones were universal. Yeah, it's good, happy. Everyone was fine with it. But this is the reality of where we're at. All right, this is one of my most commonly used devices. Where do I put my headphones? Where do they go? You tell me where the headphones go on this thing. All right, sure. iPad doesn't support headphones. It is what it is. Where do the headphones go on this thing? Huh? Do you see a port? I don't see a port. I only see one port on this thing right there. We need a dongle for that. Note, not even the same dongle as this thing. It's a different connector. All right, well, oh, Marco, Apple things, blah, blah, blah. All right, where's the, where do the headphones go on this Samsung here? I have headphones connected to all of these. Just not the same headphones that support any of this nonsense. Like, I get that people like headphones, and, you know, go you. I support that all the way, but I'm just saying I personally don't care, and that is a big motivating factor in me not doing any content on it. Oh, and the best part is, the dongle that supports headphones with this mod, despite being the exact same connector, does not support headphones with this. I thought I had the dongle on my desk. And quite frankly, I probably do, but I don't see it. Anyway, at some point, I'll try and do a follow-up on that, but that point is not today, and let's finish wiring up this freaking headphone jack. I've been working on this for like 20 minutes. Mute speaker is this one. That goes P35. And then again, this should be audio ground, but we're going to wire this up to a regular ground. I'm just going to go ahead and grab that right there. That's right next to the speaker mute. I'm going to use the tweezers that I set aside especially for this. There we go. Yeah, so I don't really want to get started on this because I'll go on for hours about this shit. But USB-C is both a blessing and a curse. Because it is so open, anyone can use it to do whatever the heck they want. Hence, these TP4056 mods that use a USB Type-C port, but don't actually support the protocol. There are two very well established but very different audio over USB standards. The first one that the SP uses, technically, that the mods for the SP uses, are analog, alternate mode audio. The other type that basically every smartphone these days is using is digital, as in USB. It's just like a literal audio USB card that you plug into the device, and that provides the DAC for your headphones. The SP has built-in DAC. Most smartphones and such do not have a built-in DAC, so anything that does not have a built-in DAC, digital to audio, digital to analog converter, you have to use one of those type dongles. If you have a DAC built in, you can use the other type dongle, and it's a whole thing. And yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. We're not even going to use that. That doesn't fit. Stick that in there. You, of course, have to use the special buttons. I like how they have the little button keyways in the housing, but then don't actually include the keys on the buttons. That's a neat touch. That shows you that they really care about what they're doing. Does this work with... Oh, that does. That's neat. Okay. Oh, I totally forgot the silicons. USB is a passion of mine. I get very animated. I've always been a strong proponent of like actual proper USB support, and nearly all of these mods do not have actual proper USB support. Can we do that? We can do that. Okay. The buttons are not labeled. I will flip it over in just a second. The actual, like, physical aluminum button itself is not labeled, and the housing is not labeled either. It's the same part, like you could just one-to-one swap them out. I really did not do myself any favors by making these wires so long, did I? Richard, I know you said this a few minutes ago, but I read chat in bursts, and I just gotta call out the irony of saying that Apple is the problem. You know, they're the ones doing away with the headphone jack, because I want to present Exhibit A from 2004 and 2003 actually, where there is no headphone jack. You had to use a dongle for one of these bad boys. Like, I know that Apple's the one that popularized it, but they certainly were not the first. I'm also realizing how silly it is to put the headphone jack on this side when the actual audio hookups are on this side, and the power hookups are closer to the left side. Yeah, this whole thing is... Anyway, sorry guys, I am doing a very poor job right now. I just want to get these wires tucked in so I can get this thing slammed together. I'm almost wondering if it might be easier to glue these stupid things in. Get under there. Alright, I don't have that plugged in yet, but I'm just going to do a quick... Oh, I can't because that's on. Okay. That's fine. We can remove that. That clear SP is using Funny Playings mod. I'm fairly certain I have a video on it. If not, trust me, soon. But there is... Oops. Double whoops. Here's what it looks like. Someone asked if the buttons were labeled. They aren't. I did the order of operations kind of wrong. But I think we can make it work. Aside from the fact that literally everything is falling apart. This is exactly what I was worried about when I was doing the BoxyPixel unhinged stream. I figured this would be tedious as heck, and I didn't want to deal with it, so I didn't. I don't know why I decided that it would be less tedious for this mod. I'm just trying to get all these wires tucked in. This sort of thing really screams for like a custom PCB, like a flex ribbon or something. Because routing all of these wires is a pain in the butt. There we go. I think I've almost got it. Get in there, you son of a... I'm about to get the hot glue out, I swear. Or just pinch the Jesus thing. Okay, stay under there. wonder if I'm doing myself a disservice by folding that thing the way I am. Hopefully not. Oh, there's definitely a pinched wire. That's cool. Cool. Oh! I didn't even look at the D-pad. Yeah, that's lovely. Oh, this is not working. This is not working out. I think this is a result of me trying to make things easier for myself, because it definitely did not make things easier for myself. Let me route this down and over here. Route that around that screw post. Try and take up the slack. You two, come on out. Alright, that takes care of two of them. And the other two we can route up. Oh, but just kidding, the silicone fell off again. Alright. Almost there, promise. Alright, so clearly that routing is less than optimal, but I can also just kind of shove that in and it'll be fine. Alright, we're there. I love these not quite magnetic screws. They're fantastic. Also, this doesn't feel like it's actually threaded all the way to the bottom, especially since it just sheared off. So that's cool. I love that they provided screws that are literally unusable. Ooh, this wire's pissing me off. All this work for a headphone jack that not only will it damage certain headphones, I don't care about it. Yeah, it's kind of impressive, isn't it? Like, and the worst part is I can't even blame the cloners, because this is how the BoxyPixel one is assembled too. Oh, look! The thingy fell out. The light pipe. I think that is supposed to be glued in. Fuck that, though. Oh, these buttons suck. Ah, did it? I bet it isn't seated properly. Well, it might have been at one point. It definitely isn't now. I'm loving this mod so much. It's so good. The problem was the wires fell between it, and now that I have it lifted, oh, of course. Just get out from in between my buttons, you bastard. I'm wondering if it might be easier to just like suck it up and use those the pins on the back of the port anyway, but then like route it over the back of the motherboard. Like that's probably the way to go with this stupid thing. All you guys that want your headphone jack, I don't know why you put up with this kind of nonsense. This sucks. Alright. It's in there. It's good. I hope. And that 100% fixed the issue with the buttons. Except that the ribbon cable is going over the brightness button now. So that feels like hot garbage, but I think it's probably still going to work, so I'm just going to leave it. Because heaven forbid I fuck up the face buttons trying to fix that. Alright. There's no shielding. Why is there no shielding? Because that wasn't the bottom half. Never mind. So I suppose we could... I'm going to do a test fit with this thing. Before I bother transferring everything over. That is not great. But, I mean, I guess it technically works. There's some strong prototype slate vibes here. So the original model slate that I had made for myself and was perfectly content with has some really bad fitment right around the ports. And this has the exact same problem. Though, I suppose the motherboard might not be seated properly on account of that ribbon going over the brightness button. So, I'm not going to hold it against them, but because that's probably a me problem. buttons. I think I've got a red one. These are all very not red. These are also very not red. Okay, maybe I don't have a red one. I don't want to use that though. Of course, I don't have a like dark gray or black one. Whatever. I think that's it, aside from the shoulder buttons. I wonder if the problem is, like I tried doing the fitment with the rear housing. These pins are genuinely shorter. I wonder if, well, those don't, that's weird. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I have very little confidence in these screws. I've already sheared one off. I don't even think this one's catching. Yeah, it's not. Let's try a different one. Oh, that's probably why. Oh, that's god-awful. Oh, that's better, but Jesus. Okay. Yeah, lights are dead. That's how you know this stream's going on too long. Gluing the magnet that they had pre-glued for me but didn't actually hold. There it is. course it doesn't switch on. Why would it switch on? Seriously? Oh, I better leave that off. I spilled it. Alright, what are the chances I blew a fuse? Pretty high. Loving it. Alright, so this Jesus thing worked before I put it together, and now it doesn't. But now it works. Okay, so is it just not making contact? Dastrin, the rear housing does not fit on a slate. I tested that earlier in the stream. Good lord. Like, I specifically grabbed an OEM style battery to test this with. Because, like, if it doesn't work with my battery, that's one thing. But if it doesn't work with an OEM battery, like, what? No kidding. Yeah, I think it's genuinely not making contact. Yep. What a piece of junk, man. Maybe that's what this shit is for. Trying to think of the easiest way to solve this that's not just shoving a bunch of paper in there. Actually, I don't care anymore. Can't have that screw too tight, otherwise you can't turn it on and off. The freaking light pipe fell out. Oh. God, I just tried gluing this thing in, and that didn't work at all. Is my super glue bad or something? Yeah, I think something happened with my super glue. I don't understand. Okay, plan B. Hot glue. There. I love this thing. I wish they sold them in the United States. I had to import mine from the UK. Hey, look at that. Now the magnet's staying where it's supposed to be. And holding the battery cover on. Good lord, this thing is something else, isn't it? My stupid cart. Where's my stupid cart? Oh. Oh, so my volume is like totally stuck too. That's probably too tight. Oh, that's awful. It's not the screw. Like, oh, this D-pad sucks. Oh my god. Like I'm hitting, I can feel it actuating left and right. Poor cart's gonna be all scratched up. Yeah. Look at that. See the plastic shavings in there? I'm so done with this thing. I don't even care anymore. Where is... Does this fit or is it gonna grind? No, it's gonna grind. Oh, I didn't even put the new button tester on here. Yeah, look at that. This D-pad is fucking terrible. Yeah, this whole thing is just garbage. It's not even that it's a clone. Like, it's a bad mod. Oh, I didn't even notice this. Check this out. So, hold it this way, you can see the light better. The cutout isn't correct for the charge port, so it's actually folding the metal inward. This thing doesn't even fit anymore. I can't get this. my god. Like, check out this fitment. Like, do you guys think that's good? How you can see the motherboard through there? I don't think it's good. I think that's fucking terrible. Admittedly, the feel is extremely similar to this thing. But fucking backlight kit. Like, at least the D-pad is decent, you know? Like, it's one thing if you're gonna make me buy your D-pad, at least make a good D-pad. But this thing is just garbage. Holy shit. Like, I had my complaints when I did the stream on this thing originally. I think there are a lot of things that BoxyPixel did poorly that he could have done better. But this is, like, there's zero redeeming qualities to this thing. It's not cheaper than BoxyPixel's mod. It's not better looking. It's not easier to install. It doesn't work better. I can't even adjust the volume. Like, I'm not... Do you see how much my spudger bends trying to push this volume slider? I'm not making this shit up. Like, this is just bad. It doesn't work with any of the fucking backlight kits. Like, yeah, I cracked a screen in this thing. When I built this, BoxyPixel said it was compatible with the screen I was trying to use, and then I did my stream and I broke a screen live on stream, and then suddenly his page was updated and it no longer said it was compatible with that screen. But, you know, whatever. This is just bad, man. This is the worst housing I have ever gotten my hands on. And I've made some pretty bad shit. If you paid money for this, you got scammed. You got ripped off. At least see the... Of course not. So the BoxyPixel one is 8.1 ounces, or 232 grams. This thing is 205 grams, or 7.2 ounces. Keep in mind that the BoxyPixel mod has a much thicker bottom and a significantly larger battery, even if that doesn't quite fit in there either. Yeah, there's just, like, no competition. For context, I suppose it's worth comparing. Let me get one that's not brass. Hang on. Do I have... Well, whatever. This is close enough. This is one of the older ones that doesn't have a laminated screen, so it's going to be a little bit lighter. But this is 5.2 ounces and 150 grams. If you're looking for weight comparisons, I suppose let's also do a stock Game Boy Advance SP, which is 169 grams or 5.9 ounces. This is... I'm mad that I just wasted 2 hours of my life, and your life for that matter, on this stupid thing. Like, aesthetically and feel-wise, I do genuinely like the thinner back of this thing. Like, I've never liked the thick back on BoxyPixel's mod, but it's also clear he was going for, like, DMG size and shape. Whereas, with my mod, I swear I have one. With my mod, I was going for Game Boy Pocket size and shape. It's not really the same thing. This is, I guess, kind of halfway between, where it's the same thickness as a Pocket, but height and width, it's a little bit... I don't know, man. Like, is the icing on the cake that I had to glue the stupid magnet in, or that I had to shim the battery just so that it works? This is just garbage. Don't give these clowns your money. Like, it'd be one thing if it wasn't a clone, but that's just insult to injury at this point. I'm drinking Trulies today, Mike. I'm not even going to bother with the sticker. Like, this thing's coming apart as soon as I need another SP for something. I'm going to leave it assembled now just because that's less effort than taking it apart, but literally as soon as I need a motherboard for like another slate or something. But at least it charges, I guess. It's hard to tell because there's no light pipe. It fell out. Yeah, maybe I'll put this sticker on something a little bit more deserving. Because, like, this is the only thing that it feels like they did right. I bet this doesn't even fit. Hang on. Oh, no, it does. They got that right, at least. What a fucking joke. Alright guys, I think I'm about done. I'll leave the stream running for another 5 minutes or so if you have any lingering questions you want me to get in, if I missed a chat or something. But yeah, straight up, the freaking charge port is bent. Like, that little half circle, semicircle cutout isn't the right size, and so it pushes on the actual charge port itself, which then pushes the metal in. And here, look, I have an SP plugged in. You can see it's charging. This thing's happy. Everything's working. If I plug this in, if I try plugging it in, oh, well, that's just not fair. Never mind. That one works. This one, though, this is the... If you buy, like, one of those generic USB cable chargers, that one doesn't fit. That goes in that far, and then it stops. I have another one. The one I usually use, it's all beat to shit. Like, this thing's so worn out. But doesn't actually work on most of my SPs anymore. No, it goes right in, but it doesn't actually charge. Same problem. If I wiggle it, maybe I can get it to come on. There we go. Tired of that thing. Yeah, I knew this was going to be bad, like, just based on the fact that it's a clone. Like, there's almost no redeeming qualities to it just because it's a clone. Like, you can buy the BoxyPixel one and at least get support if you have an issue. But yeah, if you like the flat SP nonsense, stick with one of these instead. We've got my slate, Zypher's slab, or BoxyPixel's unhinged. I know a lot of people like the slab because it has the cart slot on the other side there, but unlike the other two, it is a 3D printed housing. Yes, Hyfro, you can still get Zypher's slab. The one you can't get is that clone slab. The Humble Bazooka slab. Zypher is the one who made this originally, and you can still get that. Because it's open, like, the files are just there. You can get your own printed, do whatever the hell you want. It's an interesting mod, like, all things considered, but I literally have a slate lens stuck to it because I had a slate lens just laying around. Those aren't supposed to be there. Alright, guys. I think that's all I've got. Thanks for sticking with me. This was a terrible stream. I'm sorry about that. I knew there were going to be issues going in, but I had no idea the extent of them. Maybe at some point I'll publish the video for this thing. It's a consolation prize. Oh, I suppose I can answer that. That's a quick one. So this is a Bosch glue pen. I don't see a model number, but if you Google Bosch glue pen, you'll probably be able to find it. I got this thing off Amazon UK. They shipped international, so that was fine. I had to pay a little bit extra on shipping. It's just micro USB charge. I would have preferred USB-C, but take what I can get. I normally use like the plug-in hot glue guns, but I'm terrible about remembering to unplug them, so I'll leave them plugged in for like 14 hours at a time. And I figured if I got a battery-powered one, I can only leave it on for so long before the battery dies, and I don't have to worry about it. So that was a safety concern for me, but if you're a little bit more sane than I am, then it's probably not as big a deal. Um, or maybe newer hot glue guns that weren't made 30 years ago have auto shutoffs. I paid, I want to say it was about $30 before shipping, and then shipping was probably another 20 or so because it was international. But I don't know. It's certainly not worth the $60, I think, if you want like a good hot glue gun. But for how I use it, it's perfect for me, and I am okay with that price. But compared to like what $60 gets you on a regular hot glue gun, it's fucking garbage. I think there's one that uses like the cordless drill batteries. Those are it's a lot bigger, and if you already have the cordless tools that already use those batteries, it's a pretty decent idea. But I don't, so that was a ecosystem investment I didn't want to make. But I don't know. I like it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Okay, bye!